Hi, hello everyone. Here is Giovanna. I would like to say thank you so much for your time and you allowing me to do this presentation remotely. Very happy to be part of this conference because I really do believe that the idea of the metropolitan identities is really important in my research now. I am a PhD student at the University of São Paulo in the Faculty of Architecture and Urbanism, but my background is multimedia art. And now I am researching the city as museums interface and all the overlapping and the unfolding of this topic. So it's not that just the city is an extension of the museum, but the city as a museum itself, and we as citizens as interfaces of memory. So many authors, they talk about the obsession for memory and what I call capitalization of memory, which is becoming very preeminent in the Western world. Everybody is super attached to their phones, their devices, and more of that. We are kind of giving for free a lot of data all the time. So the city is not anymore just the urban space in the tangible sense. A place where all the territories, they are overlapped, including the digital territory, the informational territory, the tangible territory of streets and beauty. And this is not new for anyone. That's why smart cities are being so discussed nowadays. But the problem is that for some reason, more and more, the dynamics from galleries and museums are being relocated in the urban environment. And that's what really interests me, an urban digital collection of the city. And the biggest examples could be the services that Google Local Guides and Google Open Heritage, big services. So in 2011, Google launched a project called Google Arts Project that now is a service called Google Arts and Culture. This specific service was providing a chance for museums around the world to exhibit and archive their own collections online in a high resolution. And thousands of artwork somehow helps the museums to expand their range, but at the same time, it disattach object and meaning. The new generations, they are not interested in the tangible object, but the digital object. They can be reproduced and multiplied many times. We have a struggle here in between the presence and the absence, and the meaning is not in the presence of the object, but in the absence of the object, in the abstraction of the object as a binary information. Later on, established this dynamic of you can be your own curator, which is a very superficial experience of art that is extremely unilateral. They're just enforcing and making stronger their own perspectives about art. And then later on, the same dynamic of let's be your own curator become the service Google Local Guides. It's an extension of Google Maps and the Street View. Same dynamic of let's be everybody a curator from Google Arts and Culture to the city. The idea of gamificating the city through your memories. Let's update some content here, some memories and opinions and all of this thing. Make the city democratic through digital empowerment. This is really serious. They are interested in your data because every time that you upload a picture in a restaurant, they know where you are and for how long you have been there, because they match all the information from your email to the time you spent in their own platform. They have an entire cartography about you. But the city is not about me. The city is about collectivity. Registering the present as a past, as like a past present somehow condition. We are all the time attached to the memories that we never had. The problem is that you have on one side appearance design of the new city, capturing data about us all the time. And then in the other side, you have the real experience of the space of the city. When all your experience is digitalized and you don't know anymore why you were including information and building information for one specific place, you don't know the meaning of places anymore. But the reality is that when you become a guide, the idea of a local identity in this global scale disappears. You are putting everybody from Bali to São Paulo to London to Berlin to China to whatever in the same standards, the Google standards, to record the city, to evaluate the city, to measure the city, to remember the city. And you are just dissolving and sterilizing all the identities, the local identities, all the local landscapes, all the real nationality, and even the most interesting perspectives about each culture. So, to continue the discussion about heritage and how we build value in the city, I showed to you a project that I developed in Boston, Massachusetts, United States called Look Again. It is an intervention with augmented reality that was created in celebration of the 300 years of the Old Corner Bookstore, the oldest building in the city. The idea was to really create an interactive heritage experiencing using the building itself as a trigger for technology and interaction. Look Again propose us to try to reactivate the past through the present condition of the city. And at the same time, it brings a lot of layers of time for experience in the urban environment. It was created in partnership with the Boston Historic Association, responsible to keep the outbuilding up and at the same time to teach about the history of one of the most important buildings for the American literature in the 19th and 18th century. As main tool, we used augmented reality to create different time travel experiences in the facade of the house. And this helps us to understand how people interact with the city and how the digital culture can impact directly in the understanding and building of the contemporary heritage and how people will deal with it in the future. Heritage is not only about the past, it's about the present and the future. And that's why Look Again is a good example of discussion that can help us to go beyond the outsourcing of memory through digital companies. And then we finally got into the topic heritage. So recently Google launched another service called Open Heritage. It proposes a platform where you can scan the patrimony of everywhere. But the way they approach and what they're proposing make a lot of difference of the collective understanding of heritage, and that's my point. It brings again the idea of experiencing the city and living the city, feel the environment and all the particularities of that specific place. When they say open heritage, they are saying just we're going to make accessible content of all over the world. Process of choosing and curatorial real moderation process is in Google hands and the company they're working with called Cyark. They are just opening the exhibition for us. They are not opening the process, but just to making a new way of exhibit this heritage remotely, simplifying something that is extremely complex, which is about the culture of specific places and local identities. I propose, that is the main guideline of everything I'm doing, open source heritage, in which is not that we have the control of the device, of the thing, but we have control of the process, the real process, where everything is open source, including the process of creating memories and archiving the future. Because when you dissolve the local identities, selling the idea that you are and empowering the local identities, the truth is that you are dissolving the territory, but you were dissolving the own people's identity. Individuals doesn't recognize themselves as part of a nation. And the idea of nation is dissolved, as well as the identity of the city, where the nationalism is being raised again. And maybe because it is related to the dissolution of local identities through the digital culture. So then the places, they have no value anymore, no meaning. Even the heritage, the patrimony, the monuments, and then you go into a very serious crisis of identity for all these people, for all of us. How we can really understand the process of gamifying the city that has become so common in a way that we really empower people, not only to the buildings and to the infrastructure, but about the people and the flow of culture. Some authors, they really do say that the urban is inside the city, and the urban is all this mix of flows and identities and happenings that really shape the layers of construction and planning of the urban landscape. Technology is an amazing tool, but it brings more problems than solutions, and we should be aware of that when we discuss intelligent cities and the new condition of the urban landscape. That's why I believe in open source heritage, and I invite all of you to follow my next steps of research, and I'm sure we all can contribute to think about what is the future of our memory. What is the real open heritage? What is the real open source heritage where we fight against the moderation of our own minds, our own memories in the city?